Alright everyone, this is Ben from the Grumpy Pony, and today we are going to be talking about picking your army for 40k. So if you're watching this video, you've probably done a little bit of reading up on 40k and all the stuff that it sort of entails, and you've probably got a few ideas of what sort of army you want to go with. For me, when people come into the shop and they ask, what should I collect? Often you find that some people will say, what's the strongest army? Now, in my opinion, some people might disagree with me, but in my opinion, I believe that picking an army purely on what is strong at the time is probably not the best way to do it. Ultimately, I think what you need to do is have a look through all of the different armies. I think there's about 15. Have a look through all of them, and the one thing you should be looking at, especially when you've just started 40k and you're just getting into miniature gaming, is to look at the armies and go, what do I like the look of? What looks cool to me? Once you do that, you will then be much more encouraged, much more enthused to actually build and paint that army, because ultimately, don't forget, you know, this hobby is more than just a game. You are building and painting these things as well. So if you don't like the look of them, then you are not going to really enjoy a huge chunk of the hobby, which is a real shame. So have a look at the models, have a look at the range, and go with what you enjoy. That is the most important thing. I can't stress that enough for me. I know you've got some people that might say, yeah, you need to pick particular units and things like that. I tend to disagree with that, mainly because as far as sort of like playing power games and stuff like that, or even like really competitive games, you won't be doing that straight away. You'll be playing people who should be sort of teaching you the game, and for people that you really want you to learn the game and play with them, they should be helping you learn the army that you want to learn, not telling you what you should be collecting. So ultimately, look at what you like the look of and go with that. Alright, so you've decided what army you want to collect, and you've gone with the rule of cool, so you've picked your army just on what you think is cool, and what do you do next after that? So it really does depend on the army that you pick, but there's loads of options for you, and it's really exciting time, because then you can just really sort of dive into what you want. What I would suggest is always aim for the very first thing that you're going to do is try and get an HQ and at least 2 troops, because in most games, those are a really good jumping off point on building an army. We'll go through the whole army building process later on in another video, but if you aim for that, then even if you're playing friends just getting started and you're just learning, then that's a really good jumping off point, because you'll have an HQ and you can learn how they work with troops and things like that. The great thing is that Games Workshop have loads of these getting started products and start collecting products that really help you beef up your collection in a really effective way. So the one thing I'd recommend, if you're looking for either Space Marines or Necrons at the moment, then the new starter sets, the Elite Edition, the Command Edition and the Recruit Edition are absolutely perfect for you, because they will have the amount of troops and characters in there for you to get started, and they will talk you through the process of building and painting and actually playing as well, and introduce elements of the set as it goes. So it really sort of talks you through step by step, and it's a really effective way to learn the game and learn what the hobby is about, because, you know, like we say, the gaming side is part of a bigger hobby. So please, you know, just don't forget that. And then after that, you know, if you've got an army, or you want an army that isn't within those starter sets, so you don't want to go with Necrons or Space Marines, you want to go for something a bit different, you have the start collecting boxes, and in those start collecting boxes you will have an HQ, a couple of troops, and normally a vehicle or some sort of big thing in there as well, so you get a nice range of miniatures in there. and for a really good price point. So what it will do is you will have, you know, right out of the box, literally an army that you can play small level games with and learn the game. And the best thing I would say is when you're trying to learn the game is you start small, work your way up. And if you use these sets, then you can start off with your one character, get your warlord, your commander built, then get your troops built, get those guys done, paint them, those guys, just don't worry about anything else, paint those guys, and then start using those and learning how the basics of the game work. Don't worry about all the really confusing bits later on, because if you try and take it all on straight away, it can get a little bit overwhelming and people start to get frustrated. So when you're collecting these armies, start small, work your way up. The start collecting boxes, the starter boxes are fantastic for that. If you're new to the actual building and painting as well, the other thing that Games Workshop do, which I think is a really, really nice touch, is the Getting Started Paints and Tools set. Really, really nice kits. They have a nice selection of paints in there, a brush, and you normally get a tool, so either clippers or a mould line remover, something like that. Those will give you just the basics of what you need to start painting an army. Now, the sets themselves are sort of tailored towards the starter sets, but the paints inside there can be used on anything. So don't feel like just because it's got Space Marines on the front of it, you have to use it for Space Marines. You know, they have a selection of paints in there that are useful for pretty much any army. So you'll use a metal, you'll use a gold, you'll use a blue, you know, those things will be used. So when you're getting started, that selection will keep you in good stead just for when you're just learning the basis of how the paints and stuff work and the paint system that Games Workshop use. So yeah, so just getting started, really good way to do it is go with these starter products, go with the start collecting products. The only difference between the start collecting stuff and the actual starter boxes as far as the models go is that the starter boxes, the actual, you know, the command editions, the recruit editions and all that, they are push fit. So what that means is that they have pegs and holes where you can actually push the models together and you don't have to worry about glues and things like that. Whereas the start collecting boxes are much more like the models you would get when you buy the more the regular kits. So they're the sprues that you would get in the regular kits. So you just need to be aware of that when you buy a start collecting box, that you will need glue. But for the actual starter box, you don't necessarily need glue, although sometimes people do like to glue them together as well. So, but it's totally your preference on that. You can just build them out of the box. So yeah, so once you've done that, you've got your army, you've picked up a start collecting box or the actual starter box, and then you are basically ready to go. So what you've done there is you've got your army ready, and what I would say is once you've picked the start collector box or the starter box that you want, aim to get the HQ or the commander, whichever it might be, the character model built first, and then 2 troop choices. Because what you'll find is when you're just learning the game, those are the models that you'll use pretty much from the get-go, and then you can learn the basics of the game with those, because they will be able to, those models will introduce a lot of elements of the game in a really small format, so you can sort of learn it as you go. And like I always say here is start small, work your way up. Start simple, then add the complication in later on, because what you don't want to do is take loads on and not know where you're going and get fed up with it, because that does no one any favours, and then you won't enjoy your hobby. So yeah, so that's my video today on how to pick your army and what to start with once you picked your army. So I really hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, watch this space for a few more videos. We're going to be doing a introductory series on the actual rules of 40k, so the basics of moving, shooting, all of that sort of stuff. And we're also going to be doing some tutorials on how to use contrast paints and the regular paints as well. So as always, if you've got any questions or you want me to tackle some sort of some questions that you haven't heard me address here, then let me know. Either send me a message or whatever way is good for you. Yeah, like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers, bye. thanks very much for taking the time to watch our first video. So as you can probably tell, it's the first time doing this, so it's a bit rusty. So thank you very much for your patience, and we will be looking to improve things. So I'm looking to get a new microphone and some other little bits and pieces just to make things a little bit easier for you guys and a little bit more enjoyable for you to watch. So you watch this space. We're going to be doing some more videos. I'm also going to put some links to our web store in the description, just so you can see what the shop's all about and what we do. And if you do want to support the shop by placing a couple of orders, that's really appreciated, and we'd absolutely love your support. And if there's anything you want me to do a video of in the future, just let me know and we'll see if we can get one made for you. So thanks everyone, enjoy your hobby week, and I'll catch you up next time.